Hello and welcome to a new episode of The Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory. Today's a special episode. We have Emily with us today, our senior marketing manager. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I've watched so many of these that I'm happy to be on one.
Fantastic, absolutely. And this is going to be a bit different than usual, right? So instead of having a guest that is going to be already next week, we wanted to do a sort of recap slash what to expect for the new season. But for people that maybe don't know about us or maybe they followed for a long time, basically we had very successful season two, right? With fantastic, guests on amazing companies, a lot of people from the creator economy, influencer marketing. We talked about B2B influencers. We talked about, dating apps and what happens on social media, right? When people combine together statistics and numbers with also a unique style and tone of voice. Like we cover so many different topics. We already in the top 1% as a global podcast. We will lot to be in the 0.5% soon. And again, we already have fantastic guests that are going to be on from already next week, so can't wait to have them. Emily, anything to add on the podcast so far for season two?
Yeah, definitely. So we had some amazing guests. I get the opportunity to listen to all of them
Mm-hmm.
before they go out, and it's so many different verticals, so many different perspectives. And it was just a great season. And I'm so excited for the new one. We have some really good ones lined up. So hopefully everyone will tune in and see what we have going on.
Fantastic, I love it. And this episode that we can consider maybe 0 or 1 depending how you see it, right? Because it's sort of special episode where we're gonna go through different news and just mostly discuss them, right? Because of course we are in the industry. Every single day we read a lot of information about what is happening in the industry, and so why not also comment, right, a bit and just doing a bit of analysis, a bit of feedback. And I know that you selected some news that happened, I would say, in the past days slash weeks. Of course, there is TikTok shops, there is TikTok music also, threads, of course, they got a lot of hype, and then we're already knowing that it's going down a bit. We know about YouTube Premium that is going up with the prices and so on. But is there anything that you would like to start with? Maybe anything specific that you liked?
I feel like maybe let's start with threads because it's just so
Yeah.
big right now. So many people are talking about it. So many creators are involved, celebrities. It's kind of, up against Twitter at this point. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of expectations, I would
Yeah.
say. But I would like initially when threads came out, everyone joined, right? There was 100 million in the first week of signups. It attached to your
Hmm.
Instagram is very seamless. But I can definitely see as a user that engagement has kind of slightly gone down a little
Yeah.
bit. Like, I don't know what your thoughts are there, but I mean, I follow some of the biggest creators, biggest celebrities you see like coming over from Twitter. You see Oprah Winfrey, you see Kat Stickler as a creator coming over, but it's like I don't see that many comments. I don't see that much engagement. I don't see that many people getting involved. Like I go to my friends' profiles and they're following people, but they're not necessarily posting anything.
Hmm.
And the biggest thing for me is I can't search anything. Like the
Yeah.
keywords, I can't search food. I love to cook. I love to be outdoors. I love camping. I want to be able to search those terms and be like, hey, what are these people talking about? Is there any insights or anything that I can take from there? But I haven't seen any of that. So
Hmm.
I don't know if you're seeing something different than I am. I see a lot of brands coming into it as well from different strategies,
Yeah.
different angles. I don't think anyone's like really nailed it. But what do you think?
I mean, first of all, I think that the big mistake was just to say it's the new Twitter. It was like it's the new competition, while there are two different products. Even if on the premises, they look similar because they do look similar on certain things. There are different type of personas on different type of circles of people. You cannot look for, as you said, like you cannot search for things. You don't have keywords and hashtags really. Difficult to connect over with people. I would say there are no DMs. So for example, at the beginning when I used it, I replied and commented, with people, and I had to be like all the time, yeah, like please send me a DM on my Instagram. Like so, you still have a couple of steps. So and overall, I would say absolutely they crush it when it comes to getting to 100 million in such a short time. But it's all about retention at the end of the day, especially with social media, right? If you don't go there every day, like myself, I did the first 3 days. I was, as everyone, really into that, and then after a while, I started realizing that it's yeah, engagement was already going down. A lot of people, as you said, they were mostly like reading, or you know what I noticed? Either they were reading stuff or they were only writing their own without commenting on others.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's missing that conversation that was the point of it. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
was termed conversational app, but
Yeah.
I don't see any conversations
No.
happening.
No. Not
So
really.
yeah, so I definitely think solid foundation, but there's like definitely some improvements that need to be made for it
Yeah.
to hit that, ideal Instagram
Hmm.
conversational app that they coined.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. And of course, like also there is no. I know there is super new, but there is no monetization, and it's a bit weird to me. Just like to thinking that there is no monetization options already, mostly because it's Instagram. It's under Meta. They all the time they think about that, and especially also for creators, right? No one wants to do any more like I would say content. I mean, not that everyone wants to do it only for money, but thinking about how to help maybe creators, especially for like again for your retention, right? When you help them and be like, if you post this and you get these number of views, whatever, maybe you can get paid for that. I would have maybe thought about like a creator program, to be honest, for threads, just to have
To
people every
release,
day, like for
yeah,
2 months. You have to basically just interact. That's how you get the retention on, right? If not, it's like as I did it for 3 days, and then I'm like checking randomly once a week, maybe.
yeah, definitely. I think also the cadence of postings of people that I follow is not the frequency is not there.
Yeah.
So if I check it every day, like you're checking Instagram every day, TikTok every day. But this app I'm not checking it so much because there's
Hmm.
not as much post.
Yeah.
So there's that, there's no monetization. I like that it's kind of like connected to Instagram. I think that that was a good
Hmm.
move. Um, but I also, with the same tune, once if you can't delete your Threads account unless you delete your
Yeah.
Instagram account. So the pros and cons there,
Hmm. Hmm.
definitely. I definitely think down the line with them being like doing the decentralized with Activity Hub protocols down the line. I know that
Hmm.
they said that they were going to do that, but that's like months and months
Yeah.
away. I think that that's something to look out for because that would be new in the US, but we'll see how that pans out.
Let's move to the next one, right? So threads again, like there is a lot to say and also not a lot to say at the same time. You know what I mean? So why don't we move to TikTok? That of course, they've been working on a lot of things. The one that I want to see with you, actually, two of them. One is TikTok Shops, and one is TikTok Music. So for people listening on the TikTok Shops, finally they are rolling out in the US an easier, smoother, way to buy directly in app. That's what I've been saying all the time since years now doing this job. Basically, the big problem with shops online it was that it was always full of frictions. So from the beginning of the funnel to the end of the purchase, many people were mostly leaving the app or not finalizing the purchase. Why? Because if let's say you're on TikTok, right, and you have to click on go on third-party website, and then it's an embedded browser in your app, so you don't have the same cookies that you usually have in your browser. You don't have a login, maybe you have to put your information of your credit cards and billing address again. This is a lot of minutes, right? That goes basically away. And nowadays people are, I don't want to say lazy, but they're used to have their information stored. So up until the moment, so finally after that they test it out in the UK already, they test it out in Indonesia and other countries. I think, I don't know if maybe Brazil, but some others, and finally they see it works. So now it's a frictionless, right, experience. So some screenshots that from the beginning to the end, it's basically the same of Instagram Shops that I personally like because it's very user friendly, it's easy to use, and when you buy something, right, it recorded your information, and the next time that you go and you see something, you just have to click buy now, and that's it. How do you feel about that? Have you purchased something or have you played with it?
Okay, so social commerce is projected to account for 53 billion in sales in the US this year, but in comparison in China it's 457 billion.
Mm.
So I want to start with that because give an emphasis on what we're looking at, but as I go through and purchase something through TikTok shops, to me it's very seamless.
Hmm.
Like you go in, purchase something, it takes 2 seconds. I didn't even put in my credit card information. I used Apple Pay. They also have buy now, pay later options. They're also offering discounts, 30%
Yeah,
off and free
yeah, so
shipping.
that.
So I think the is incentives of purchasing on TikTok Shop is there, but the behavior, it's
Mm,
not as, like you were mentioning, it has friction in the process
yeah.
that I didn't see that when I was purchasing. I I think that it has a long way to go because our consumer behaviors are very different. We're used to bringing out our credit card. We're used to purchasing stuff like touching it, seeing it, live stream shopping, something like that. But I, in general, think that it will come to a point like Instagram shopping. I think that that's really blown up. Also, Meta with Facebook Marketplace. I buy stuff on Facebook Marketplace all the time. Like, I think
Mm,
that they're really killing it there because you can talk to someone. What is it like? What are the
yeah.
dimensions? What's the feel? Is it in good condition? Da 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 da. And then you meet that person and then you purchase it. I think that there's a couple hurdles that need to be jumped over in the US for that to become as big as it is in China
Hmm.
across those apps like WeChat and whatever else. But I think it's getting there. I
Hmm.
think it's
Yeah.
definitely getting there.
No, I think that, before it was a problem of both tech and also, again, user experience, and just like, how people buy in the US. We always have to remember that, I mean, of course, China, it's, what is 1 billion and 300 million of people, something like that, right? So first of all, we're talking about a way bigger population, but also secondly, and this what I say, said that already many times on the podcast, but to think that China has a lot of rural areas, right? So 10 years ago, it was easier to have a phone in China than a computer. That means that people are used to being more on their phone and do everything from the phone compared to the US. Like, coming from me from Europe, and when I moved to the States, and I visited the States when I was maybe middle school, so like, talking about like, more than 15 years ago now. I do remember that Europe was much like, I would say another level when it came to like, phones, right? Like, we had Nokia, and was like, much more complex compared to Motorola here, for example. We had like, already access to the internet, while in the US was a bit difficult. I would say that the US, after with the iPhone, they did a great job with apps and everything. But I would say that the population here was never really, used to buy and do certain things on your phone, right? You still pay the majority of the bills on your computer, right? You still do a lot of things on your computer because you are just used to do that. While in China, for example, again, a lot of people didn't have either the money or the connection, right? Or they just plugging in somewhere again, in areas that they're very difficult, right, to get there. While with the phone, it's easier, right? You have a coverage basically kind of everywhere. You can take videos. You can do everything nowadays. So that's also why I would say that people are not used to stay that much, for example, live stream shoppings as it happens in China, right? And also, again, we in the US, Europe, we already are used to, buy more than we needed. So I would say that maybe that period they went down a bit. Like, it's still people are buying a lot of things that they don't need. But I would say that the boom of the 80s and the 90s, and like in the early 2000s, of buying things that you were seeing on TV kind of went down, while China is now only approaching, right? Getting like, maybe more luxury items, for example, and be able to buy more, right, and own more. So there are so many different things that we could go through that, on the shops. But why don't we move also to, so still staying on TikTok, right? So from the shops, another one I think is very interesting. It's the new TikTok music. They're experimenting in Brazil and Indonesia. Um, I have some feedback on that, and but I wanted to know, like, what is your opinion on that? Like, can it be Spotify? Can it be an addition to it? Like, how do you see that working?
No, I think that that could be revolutionize music streaming
Hmm.
because I mean, think about it. People take TikTok music like clips from there all the time, change it a little bit, modify it, put it back up. I think that in general, the way that they're rolling it out with the new program with Elevate with creators and helping these creators with their singles, getting it out there to their 1 billion users, I think that it could be huge. I
Hmm.
think it could absolutely be huge. It is competitive in pricing, and people, those users are already spending all their time within this app. So why not combine? I think it's a huge move for TikTok. I think it's great. Spotify, I love Spotify, and it's, you're looking at a price point of like 9.99 a month. With
Hmm.
TikTok music, you're looking at a like $8 range. different countries, so on and so forth. But I think they have a really solid foundation. I think they have a lot of hype around it that it's gonna gain a lot of
Mhm.
people in the next time.
No, I do agree, and also we'll add something on this. So a couple of years ago, I was talking with someone that works for Spotify. We were at this party together, and was like, "Oh, so you work for Spotify?" I was like, "You know what, guys? You would like I love Spotify. I've been a premium user for years now,
Same.
and because I listen so much music every year, like with the rap, right, and everything, you can like information, I can see how much music I listen to. So for me it's fundamental. It's one of the most used apps that I use both on my phone and also on my desktop computer. That said, I told this lady, was like, you know what, Spotify is missing is the social component. You
Yeah.
guys don't have anything that is social. Like, I would love to comment on a song. I would love to clip it out and just use part of it. I would love to help with the lyrics. I would love to share it in a way where I can, like maybe, just give a feedback on the song, or, like it's missing all that components. So I think that if
Yeah.
like TikTok, potentially music can be very powerful because you have already like all the songs basically that go to the billboards, the majority they come from TikTok, right? The organic reach is insane. And then you already have the components of social media, sharing, remixing, giving a feedback, leaving a comment on a song. You can do
Share
so
with
much more.
friends. Yeah.
Like music, it's basically really like a way to connect people that all over the world, and they might not even talk the same language, right? Because music, it's really like getting people together. So you could have
Universe.
like, right,
Yeah.
you can have people from any place just commenting. So is that something that you ever felt like missing out? Or would you like, if
Yeah,
you think about
definitely.
that?
Like on Spotify, I'll listen and see what my friends are listening
Yeah.
to. Oh, maybe I'll tune into that or whatever. But 100% missing that social
Hmm.
aspect of it, being able to share with friends and like clip different things out. That's why I'm so bullish behind TikTok music. I think it's going to be, like you said, very powerful. I think it
Yeah.
will change the game. And I mean, you have other ones other than Spotify. You have Amazon Music, you have a bunch of
Hmm.
different apps, but one feature that I also really like that it combines into it is this Shazam feature, because I'm
Okay.
always out like with hanging out with my
Hmm.
friends, whatever, we'll be somewhere and I'll listen to something. I'm like, oh, what is that? And I'll Shazam it. But I'm moving from different apps.
Yeah.
So seamless to keep it into one, I think is incredible.
Hmm.
I think it's really well thought out. I'm really excited to see what they do there.
Interesting. Also, because at the same time, YouTube, like also they have like YouTube Music, and their price, if I'm correct, is going up like by $1.
Yeah.
I think a month. So that is also, always very interesting, right? Because for many people, it's like, yeah, whatever, $1. But for a lot of other people, especially like maybe young people, in college or high school and so on, they might have like, they don't really make money, and so they have to look at every single dollar. I'm pretty sure that there are going to be some people that are going to start looking for other,
Yeah.
other solutions.
I think you're right. I think that that will be a barrier. It might just be $1, but if TikTok music is less expensive, I mean, I know that they have three different
Hmm.
options similar to Spotify. You have student, individual, team, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right. I think that that will cause a barrier in the long run as far as cost.
Also, the not only on the music side, but also YouTube Premium. Like I am a user of YouTube Premium now. Like has been more than a year, I would say. So I like it, and personally, I'm gonna be like, okay, whatever, $2 more. But again, like it for some people, I already saw in the past that people were complaining, right? Anytime that, let's say, Netflix, right, goes up, or you have like, you cannot share anymore the password, like, everyone was like, furious when either prices goes up, right, or people
Me
like,
included.
right, so you cannot anymore share and things like that. So why is that? What do you think they're going up with the prices? It's just like to implement new features. They need that. It's just like to filter out maybe users that want for attention. It's difficult to say, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to say. I don't think necessarily to filter out. I think it's more like it can't be competitive. I think prices all around are going up. So they're
Yeah,
kind of staying
yeah.
with the marketplace. I really think that that's just a business
Hmm.
decision.
And also, like, other things that I also wanted to discuss. It's about also the different meta apps, specifically Instagram in this case. But also, like, so we said that, everyone is working on different things. So TikTok for the shops, and music and so on. And something that I saw Instagram working on more, it is about either like templates or also better ways to edit videos. I think they're really trying to compete against CapCut, right? There is the app of ByteDance. I've been using also that app from, like, ages, when it was still called Maker. And then they renamed it to CapCut. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that everyone listening used it at least once. If you haven't never used that, it's fantastic. It's basically, I met like, content creators that told me that they shoot videos on their phone and they edit everything in CapCut, and still, like, the final results, it's professional and it's amazing to watch. So, when you combine together CapCut and TikTok together, it's very strong. So I'm pretty sure that now also Instagram want to try to, step up the game, right, and get to the same level potentially. Have you? I don't know. Have you tried something there in terms of tools or yet?
Yeah, definitely. It's very interesting that Instagram said that they would kind of move towards photos and not as much reels, but then they're releasing all these new features for
Mm-hmm.
reels. But I have gone into the app and gone in and looked in the top camera and it brings you to templates, but it wasn't as easy to search for
Mm-hmm.
templates as you
Mm-hmm.
would imagine. I found it
Yeah.
very difficult. Like the first ones that come up are popular trending music and that's great, but I wasn't able to find specific things. I think that there's still more that needs to be done there to make it more user friendly
Mm.
because right now it's kind of like it shows up and it's like a scrolling template, like
Okay.
different templates that you can use. And I didn't find that super helpful. I like that they put it in one place because before you were like scrolling and you had to look for a template that you might want to use, but you might be scrolling for 30 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But right then and there, and you can save them, which is great. So I save them, put them in my drafts, and then I can come back to them. Where in the past I wasn't able to do that. So I think that what they're doing to compete with CapCut is good, but it's not quite there. Just
Yeah.
because Reels, like there's so much different music, and I don't like the fact that you can't add some saved music and you can add some others.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a little wonky, but overall, excited to see what else they release there for Reels and templates. It
Yeah.
was a good one, a good thought.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, if you think about it, CapCut, it's a standalone app, right? So it's all about that. It's not one of the feature inside one app. On the contrary of, like, Instagram, that now has a lot of different features, but inside the app itself, and so it's difficult really to go in depth, right? And having a lot of
Really.
powerful tools, right? If you put everything together, I understand the reason why, because you don't want to have too many apps. Do you remember in Instagram back in the day they did, like, even apps for, like, there was one called Layouts, I think, or something similar. We
Yeah,
were able to do then basically they implement that into the stories, right? To make it, like, easier. So
because so many people were leaving the app doing it there, me being one of them. I would leave the
yeah,
app and come
yeah.
back, and it wasn't always seamless. So
Hmm.
I definitely agree.
So now, and, like, just to start wrapping up on different apps, like, we already discussed about, super apps in the past on different episodes of the podcast, right? I asked about, these to people that either have experience in China, that where super apps are very famous, and again, for people listening, they might not be familiar with the term. It's basically an app where you can do everything in one place. So, for example, WeChat in China, it's a place where you can, of course, chatting with people, but you can also send money. So similar to what you would do with Venmo here in the US. You can follow influencers, or how they're called, their key opinion leaders. That is basically how would you do, let's say, on Instagram, right? You can also watch videos. You can, I think, even I don't want to say these. Maybe, like, maybe I'm not 100% correct, but maybe either like movies or, like, long form videos. Like, you but basically you can do everything, right, on WeChat. And it's working, well, because everything is one place. Again, China has been used to do that. While in the US, always feel that, and also in Europe, right? Um, Different apps for different features, different tools for different things to do. Do you think that we will ever have super apps? And also, by the way, with the new things of Twitter, that just today they changed it to
To
X.
to X.
You saw that with Elon Musk? They changed it to X. So I'm curious, is Twitter now X, and it's gonna be potentially a super app?
I think that's the move. So I was going to
Right?
say that. I
Mm,
didn't know. I think that they're going to try and assimilate so many different things into Twitter. That's why they're rebranding. Because
yeah.
X kind of like covers, it's an umbrella of all the things.
Right.
So that's what I'm thinking. but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. I mean, that Twitter logo is so predominant. It's
Yeah.
blue. I'm very interested and curious to see what they release about the change. So,
I think that potentially is gonna get back also to payments. I mean, at the end of the day, Elon Musk started with PayPal. Like
yeah,
that's how it
that's true.
started. So maybe X could have like Twitter, but also a way to send maybe money to friends and maybe competing with Venmo and Zelle, for example, in the US. It can have maybe what else is missing? Like what is I mean, you're already following people. You can already create content. Um, Twitter never really understood, I would say, how to sell things online. They tried, with the clickable links, but I mean, my opinion personally is that when you are on Twitter, you are there to fight. Basically, you're not there to buy. So unless, right, you know what I mean, like unless they make a different, like unless they get new people in on Twitter, so not the typical Twitter users, but new people on X, and then maybe they also can combine together not only payments but also selling things online. But it's going to take long, right, to change Twitter from the place that it is in terms of like arena, right, of people that basically talk about news, politics, and they shout to each other, to a place where you can pay and buy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. The perception there is going to have to change highly for that to happen.
Hmm.
A lot more users, basically a new audience, I would say.
Yeah.
But I think that it might be going that way. Like I know that it's a super short prediction right
Hmm.
now, but I think that that's because what other apps do we hear or do we see that are moving to the super app realm? I
Right
personally
now, no,
haven't
no
heard of
one,
any
no
in the
one,
US,
no one.
like none.
Yeah. So that's why I'm curious to see what is going to happen, to be honest, in terms of, yeah, super apps and everything. And it's a bold change, but at the same time, Twitter really didn't make that much money. So maybe it's time to revamp everything and to be like, you know what, this is not just going to be Twitter anymore. It's going to be something more. Let's see. I mean, it can be a hit or miss, to be honest. Like, can be a genius move, or can it be the beginning of the end, right, of that era. So let's see how
Yeah.
it goes. Anything else that you want to add, Emily, today? Anything that we didn't discuss that you thought on the news was like quite important today?
The only thing I'm looking forward to is I'm going to see Barbie tonight. I'm really
Okay.
excited. I just really think that their
Yes.
marketing, doubling down on brand partnerships leading up to this
Hmm.
release was excellent. They McDonald's partnership, all these different ones that they did. It was a big splash, but is the movie as good as the
Mm,
marketing? I
mm,
don't know. Something I'm looking forward to, but
let's see.
I'll share with you later if it was good or not.
I'm curious. I also have to gonna watch it. I think this week. I don't know when, or maybe next week. I have to organize with a couple of friends, but yes, it's in the
Yeah.
plans. And I'm also very curious to see, like, is that gonna be, because that is also going to be interesting. Like, you have all this hype. I'm feeling nowadays that with apps, with movies, with everything, we have all the marketing hype, but then the quality of the content usually is not
I'm
that good.
Yeah, that's what. So I haven't talked to anyone who's seen it, but
Okay.
I'm curious because I mean, obviously they're pulling on the strings of nostalgia because it's Barbie.
Yeah.
It really connects with anyone from, age 15 to at least like 55, 60.
Hmm.
But they're really going after Gen Z with those brand partnerships who they
Mm.
chose to get to.
Yeah.
So is the quality going to match it? We'll see. I
Yeah.
don't know, but I'm keeping my expectations like
Mm.
mid.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, is it the Barbie of boomers? Is it the Barbie of millennials? Right? Or is it, like, in this case, more Barbie for Gen Z? So maybe the Barbie that might not
Is
be the new Barbie, right? So as a concept, right? But they made so many changes in Barbies from when it was created, right? There was just maybe one product to the plethora of, like, different diversity and different options, right? As Barbie that. But I'm curious. Let's see how it goes. But surely a lot of marketing like happened.
Yeah.
One of the biggest, I would say, like,
And
splashes
recently. Yeah,
of the year.
definitely one of the biggest recently.
Interesting. I will see. Let's see. Very curious. Well, Emily, thank you so much for joining me today for this first slash zero episode for the new season. I'm very excited about what is going to happen soon. Again, we have really good guests joining us. As usual, it's going to be every Wednesday. We publish very, very early in the morning for people that maybe are going to the gym. Everyone that is going to get ready, maybe for like a commute to go to the office. So we're gonna be on your Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and plenty of other places. You can find us there. So Emily, again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Very excited for season 3.
Amazing, fantastic. This was the Influence Factor by the Influencer Marketing Factory, and I'll see you next week.